How can you actually differentiate yourself on Amazon in 2025? And I can see that a lot of sellers are focusing on the wrong things. And there are a lot of videos saying that you should focus on your PPC campaigns, pricing. You, of course, need to ensure that you have beautiful images. And don't get me wrong, those things are important to have. But nowadays, where there's a lot of competition, and if you really want to have a successful launch of your product, or if you're an existing seller and you want to differentiate yourself from others, you have to remember certain things and ensure that you're working on those first. And the first thing is actually understanding your actual relevant keywords and competitors. And of course, if you're selling on Amazon, you probably do the keyword research and you end up finding a lot of generic keywords. Let's take as an example wireless ergonomic keyboard product. So let's say you are about to sell this product. So when you do the research, you'll find the main kind of keyword on this category, which is wireless keyboard. And this is going to be a search intent for a lot of customers. And you might find a lot of different brands there. You can check the revenues, the rankings, and etc. But the thing is it actually the most relevant keyword for you? Because in the reality, if I'm a customer and I'm searching for the keyboard, maybe I'm not specifically looking into ergonomic keyboard, because those two products are different, the normal keyboards and the ergonomic keyboard. So you really have to understand what your product is about. And a lot of customers who are searching for generic keyboard, they're just doing the research and they might not end up interested in your product. Maybe they just want to have something cheaper and more simple. But if your customer is looking specifically for ergonomic keyboard, then your main keyword that you need to make research on and you need to target and make research on competitors comes from ergonomic keyboard. And this is a crucial thing to remember. If the keyword is too broad, that means that a lot of customers are just going to do the research and they actually might go for the more generic products. So when selling on Amazon now, you really have to ensure that you target those keywords, long tail, and really specific ones to your product. And the same goes for competitors, because you might check the volumes for wireless keyboards on the market. You might think that, okay, cool, this is a great niche, a lot of revenues, a lot of different options on the market. But in the reality, the actual competitor of yours is going to sell similar products with the similar features. So you always have to ensure that you focus on those first. And first you win there. And after you, let's say, on the first page, you're already taking most of the sales for the wireless ergonomic keyboard, then you can look into more broader niches, like just, okay, let's take those customers who are searching for the normal wireless keyboard. And some of them actually might be interested and up for the idea of actually upgrading. And they're like, cool, never thought about the ergonomic option. Let me consider this. But again, on Amazon, people go there to shop. And then, of course, there is a room for the research. First, you want to ensure that you're taking the most relevant customers that are specific in search for your product and the features that it offers. And after that, we go more to the broader keywords and more like generic ones in your category. So always start with the high intent search keywords first. Thing number two, always utilize brand analytics and growth opportunity tool by Amazon. You cannot even imagine how much information Amazon shares now about your product, your category. You can get a lot of insights. You can see what is actually dominant seller in the market, what are the click shares between your competitors in your category. You can see the trends in the market. You can see how customers actually end up buying your product in the way that, let's say, you get 10% of the impressions for the certain keyword, and then Amazon will show you, okay, 10% of the impression side. Then when customers start researching how many of those actually put it into the basket and how many of those convert. So you can see the whole customer journey about your product and different keywords. And then you can analyze, okay, if we have a lot of impressions and clicks, it means that we're quite efficient in terms of our offer, main image, and maybe the actual PPC side. But if a lot of those customers are not converting, maybe there is something wrong actually with my listing, with my images, with my offering. So this is the data you have to utilize. You can also see some information like demographics. In the US, you can even see the average household income of the buyers that are actually buying your products. You can see their age, gender. All of this is crucial for you to understand the ICP. And Amazon offers you. Again, it's nice to use all the third-party tools, of course, like Helium, Jungle Scout. Those are giving you a lot of great insights. But the most relevant data will always come from Amazon. And now you have actually access to this in the brand analytics and growth opportunity explorer. So please ensure that you're utilizing those. You can also see repeat purchase behavior. You can see among all of the customers that have purchased your product, let's say for the past year, what is the percentage of those who are actually repeating buyers, who are coming again to my brand and buying more. And if you are selling the product that is repeat buy product, then you want to ensure that this number grows. So all the decisions when it comes to your product needs to be made by looking at those data. And please ensure that you are actually utilizing those. Thing number 3 is actually creating a no-brainer offer on Amazon for your ASINs. So if you're selling your product in the retail store, you will probably run some of those promotions where you would just offer products for free and people can just get introduced to your brand, the product, the quality and the taste of it, as an example with protein bars. So you can do the same on Amazon. You can introduce those small variations and people can try it. And later you can just remove this variation or just stop selling this. So you will later focus on those main variations that you're actually making money from. But in the beginning, consider creating a smaller package, smaller variation, just to ensure that people can actually make an easier decision of trying products. And so this actually helps a lot, so definitely consider this. So let's say you are selling protein bars and the minimum and the main offer you have is that you're selling 12 bars for the price of $30. Instead of just focusing on this variation, in the beginning you can introduce like a pack of 3 or 4 and the price for this can be as minimum as, I don't know, $3, $4, $5. Just ensure that still when people compare an option to buy a pack of 12 and buy 3 of those pack of 3 or 4, it's still better for them from a financial perspective to buy a pack of 12 variation. Thing number 4 is actually creating selling images. I can tell you that images is the single most important thing you want to focus on in Amazon 2025. There are a lot of changes here because Amazon now sometimes tests removing bullet points from the listing. So some customers, they actually just go on your product listing and they make decisions based on images and videos. The actual attention span of the customers is dropping because of the reels, shorts. So basically what is happening now on the social media. The customers make decisions quicker and they like to make decisions based on visuals, emotional connection by videos and etc. So you really have to utilize it. And Amazon also now they can read keywords from the images. So you also want to ensure that you're doing images, of course, primarily for the customers, but also you want to ensure that Amazon will understand what the product is about based on your image section and your videos. And it's not enough just to make beautiful images. So you really have to treat your images from the selling perspective. There are around 25, 30 types of different images. Those are selling, those are informative. That what is important to have on Amazon. Amazon images are different from other, let's say, e-com stores. You really have to ensure that you're showing how your product is different from others. You need to create emotional connection with your target group. So if you're selling a product for women that are in the age of 25, 30, and you're putting like older guys on your image section, I mean, it doesn't create an emotional connection with your target group. You have to understand your buyer and you want to ensure that in your image section, you're actually putting your buyer persona, not just some random people on the images. And then I also really recommend you to take a look at the blueprint that we made with our partners who have been doing just Amazon images for the past 7 years. I will link it below and you can see all the different types of images from those that you can choose and actually adapt for your Amazon listings. It's completely free of charge. But images, again, the single most important thing, and you have to treat it as your copywriting. So you want to ensure that you are communicating all the things that you put on the listing in the images as well. So all of the concerns buyers might have about your products, all the questions, you have to address them in the image section. This is the goal. So I need to go to your product page, I need to look into your image section, I need to take a look at your videos, and then I have to have a clear understanding. What is your product? How is it different from others? What about the brand? What actually are those benefits I'm getting when I'm taking your product? What is the size of your product, right? So all of those things you have to address. And then when you're doing the competitor research and you're doing analysis of the reviews of your competitors, you can see what customers mostly are complaining about your competitors' products. You can see what people like the most. You can take those things and also address them in your images. So you can say, hey, I mean, compared to others, our product is better at this, and that. Well, because when Amazon buyers, they do the research, they take a look at some of the best sellers, of course, they're also going to read some reviews and they're going to have some concerns. So you want to ensure that you're addressing them proactively in your image section. And also when it comes to main image, it shouldn't always be on the white background. I mean, of course, in most categories, you should have a white background, but it doesn't mean that you cannot be creative with your main image. Here, I'll show you some of the examples of main images that actually you can do in different categories. And by just changing the angle of a product or adding, let's say you have a packaging, you change the angle of it, you add shadows, then let's say if you're selling gummies for like vitamin gummies, you can put the products and kind of they're floating around the packaging. So just to stand out from the competitors, just to ensure that your click-through rate can be higher and you're really being visually appealing compared to others. That's also the way, again, how customers make decisions. And always ensure that you also work on your main image, always A/B test those. When it comes to images, you want to make decisions based on data. So if you believe that you made the best selling images, still you have to try it on Amazon step by step, upload it through the Manage Experiment tool, where Amazon will actually show you how two different versions of the images are performing compared to each other. So you need to make decisions based on data, what actually converts better. The next thing you should really care about, and I think it's obvious, but I just want to emphasize the importance of branding and packaging. If you think that it's about just selling a cheap products on Amazon, it's not anymore. So more and more brands are coming to Amazon. And there's more and more competition, and people really try to look for the quality products. And one of the reasons why they purchase products, if they actually care about the brand, if they see that, okay, it's actual real brand, not just private label seller. I mean, you can still be a private label seller, but it's just about building something around the product, which is branding. So you can work on both packaging, ensuring that this is really good quality. I mean, this is something customers receive and they care about. This is their first impression of your product. And you should really care about it, right? And then the next thing is branding. Ensure that you have, of course, brand store, you have A+ content, you have brand story module. Talk about the brand. Even if you don't have a beautiful story on how you came up with the idea of launching a product, actually, in most of the cases, people have those stories. They just think, okay, there is nothing specific. I just had this problem, I wanted to find a solution, and then I realized that I want to launch this product. But that's exactly what you want to communicate to customers. Show who is behind the brand, what they care, what is your vision. All of those things, they might seem like, oh, like who cares about it? But in reality, buyers care about it. When you are in the marketing and sales area, sometimes you think that all people, they understand how marketing works, they understand that each brand tries to sell something, but in reality, it's not true. So you're speaking to people who are sometimes making decisions based on emotions, based on what clicked with them when doing the research, because they have a certain pain they want to solve and you offer the solution. Or they really found people who are behind the brand being transparent, being nice, and they're like, okay, I really find this brand who tells about their team more interesting for me compared to another product where there is no information who is doing that. So, of course, it's not always going to be the key decision-making thing for them, but in some cases, when people are hesitant about which option they go for, they kind of like both, they might look into those things like, hey, what is the brand about? Where they come from? What they care about? So please do not think it's not important. And if you have a capacity to work on those visuals, to work in that story, just put it. It can be one image, it can be section on the brand store. Like your brand store can be the same as your website. You can create about us page, you can create page about mission, vision. All of those things are nice to have. And when you're doing the new product launch, I still believe that 70–80% of your effort should go to sponsor product, like in most of the cases. There are some exceptions, but still 20% is nice to test with sponsor brand videos. And you might want to actually take this traffic and direct it to your brand store instead of product listing first. If let's say you have more stories about the brands and you can talk about the whole product portfolio there. So this is an important thing. So please don't think that it's just something that not there. So having information about the brand, creating a story around it is actually matters. And I would really want you to spend some time on this and implement it in your Amazon strategy. So those were some of the things that I really want you to pay attention when it comes to selling on Amazon, especially in 2025. I'm happy to answer any of the questions that you might have, so please put them in the comment section. And if you have any topic that you want me to create more detailed video on, please feel free to let me know. That was Andres, co-founder at Amazon agency called Inels. So yeah, if you need any help or any questions, I'm happy to receive those.